If I would have to summarize what is the most popular concern or question that I get lately, is about uncertainty. Most people get disoriented because the uncertainty. What's gonna happen? Needless to say, this uncertainty leads to fear. And if it leads to fear, then it leads to worries and many other things. But many times when I think of what to teach, I will just take a very popular question that I get, and then I'll do a class on that. So that way, I don't have to answer to 5,000 people one by one. The answer is publicly. So what I've been getting lately is what affects a lot of people negatively is the uncertainty. And it's not only about Israel, by the way. It's not only Israelis are telling me they're uncertain about what's going on in Israel. Again, if I have to mark my highest, most popular question, is Dafka coming from Americans concerned about what's going to happen in America. I get much less questions from Americans than Israelis. Israelis know that there is a war, there will be a war, the war will continue. That's it. It will escalate, then it will relax. Then it will escalate, then it will relax. But that's how wars are. This war is going to now take for at least a year before they decide what to do with it. So, but nevertheless, many... No, it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. We're double recording from here and from here. Taking no chances. So believe it or not, many Americans are concerned. Is the dollar going to crash? Is the economy going to crash? What's going to happen in America? So I've read a very important book. I recommend to read. You won't find it in English, so if you can find it in Hebrew, also good. The book is called Emunah veBitachon by the Chazon Ish. It's a very small book, but it talks straight to the point. And Emunah means faith, Bitachon means trust, that I trust in God. And he explains there that there's a very common mistake when it comes to Bitachon. Because the whole point of what I'm talking now in these short series of classes is because what I notice is most people don't have Emunah and Bitachon. I mean, they believe in God. But also 2 billion Christians believe in God. So you're not that different. And Muslims, another 2 billion Muslims believe in God. So you believing in God doesn't mean that you have Emunah and Bitachon. Emunah, that you believe not in the existence in God, that you believe in His actions. I believe in His existence too. But when something doesn't work well to my favor, who says I believe in the action that Hashem did? And bitachon, of course, is that I trust, not that I trust God. I trust that everything that happens in the world is from God. Of course I trust God. Well, I don't know about many other people, maybe don't. But the most common mistake when it comes to bitachon with people, and a lot of people, let's divide now, partition the groups of people when it comes to emunah and bitachon. The first group is the people who don't have any emunah and bitachon, and not so easy in that stage to teach about emunah and bitachon. First you need to believe in the existence of the Creator and do your first few steps, then you go to the next level. But when it comes to emunah and bitachon, you have the people who are not actively observant, but they have emunah and bitachon. They don't do mitzvot, or maybe just a little bit, but when it comes to believing in God and trusting, they have no limits. An unbelievable level of emunah. Then you have the ones who are observant. They participate in all the rituals and follow all the Torah, but don't have bitachon and don't have emunah. For some reason, they believe in the Torah to actually do it. But when tests arrive, then they really lose their orientation. And then there are the ones who are observant, and they have emunah and bitachon, but the scale of it just goes up and down, depending who the person and what the challenges are. And that's kind of like most of us. I'm talking about the observant ones. then we have a very high level of emunah. After all, look at me. I'm not dedicating my life to God because I don't believe. If you are dedicating your life to God, is only coming from the place that you believe in God and the Torah. It says in the Torah, "Vayaminu b'Hashem," right? "Vayaminu b'Hashem." The level of belief of Bnei Israel elevated. So technically, one can question that verse in the Torah. Oh, up until then, they didn't believe. I mean, you should know that verse. We read it every day. "Vayaminu b'Hashem uveMoshe avdo." But that happened after the Yetziat Mitzrayim. So can I question now the text and say, what, they didn't believe in God before that? They had to see miracles to believe? Maybe yes. Maybe at the time of Mitzrayim they believed in God in a very limited way, believed that there's an existence of a creator. The creator created the world and runs the world, and that's it. That's believe in God. But that's not the emunah that we're talking about. Later on, when they left Mitzrayim, after seeing the 10 plagues and all the miracles, then it says, "Vayaminu b'Hashem of Moshe avdo." They believed in Hashem, and adding in Moshe his servant. Must be that there's different levels of emunah. So you can believe in the existence of God, but you don't have emunah that the bad things in your life are good coming from God. Or you find it hard to trust God in different situations, that God will be the one who saves you, and not the individual in front of you that you trusting. As it says in Baruch HaGever Sheyivtach B'Hashem, blessed is the man who trusts in God, and Arur HaGever Sheyivtach B'Adam, damn is the person that trusts in man. So again, when it comes to emunah and bitachon, everybody can say, some people will raise their hand right away and say, I don't have it. Most people will say, yeah, I have it. It's just it's in difficult situations, my bitachon is shaken. Either way, how you're going to look at it, the Chazon Ish explains that there's one basic mistake when it comes to bitachon and emunah. When a person is standing in a crossroad, okay? Not referring to now, should I live in this city or should I live in this city? That's not what I'm talking about. Or should I pursue this career or should I pursue this career? That's not the crossroad I'm talking about. I'm talking about in a crossroad that the person right now, just for the sake of the example, is sick. What are the two options? Either he gets well or either he dies. That's the crossroad. There's two options here. Okay? I'm excluding the option of staying sick. So either the sick gets well, or either chas v'shalom, the sick dies. These are the two options. So what is the bitachon directed to? What is the bitachon directed to in this situation? That he would get better. Doesn't that make sense? You agree? Because it seems like you don't agree with what I'm saying. If I have now two options, I have a sick person here. I love the sick person. Either he dies, either he's going to get well. When I work on bitachon, what is my desire? That he will get better. That's the mistake. Exactly. So what do I have to work on the bitachon? Fantasizing something that might not happen? Now I'm not talking about hope. I'm not talking about hishtadlut, effort. I'm not talking about emunah and believe and praying. That's not what I'm talking about. Slow down and listen to what I'm saying. A person is standing in a crossroad. I'm giving you one example right now, being sick. Of course, everybody will feed the bitachon that he gets better. Now there are hostages in Gaza. The families on the hostages and millions of people are praying for their return. Nobody has building bitachon that they will stay there. Do you understand the depth of what I'm saying? Good. That's a mistake. That's what the Chazon Ish, don't look at me. Chazon Ish says, that's a mistake. That's not bitachon. That is not bitachon, that I wish for the hostages to come back from Gaza, or for a sick person to be healed, or for the woman I'm in love with that turned around and ran away, that she will come back, or whatever example you need to hear. Bitachon, let me say it different. When the Chazon Ish says that's not bitachon, he explains because neither one of us has the prophecy to know. We don't know. So that cannot be categorized as bitachon. Why? Because to believe that something will be okay, that's not bitachon. And that's why I categorize that most people who believe in God, they are observant. They still don't have the bitachon because they don't know what the bitachon is. And the sad reality is that the majority of observant Jews are not learned. Maybe lack of time, maybe laziness, I don't know. But if you're looking at the majority of Jewish people, a large amount is Baal Tshuvas and converts. So from that, take a percentage, which is very large, that people are not learned. I know people that are 20 years observant. They became observant 20 years ago. They know the minimum of the minimum to live an observant life, and that's it. Now take the ones who are born observant. You think they all run to yeshiva and they love the Torah? Wrong. Most of them don't like it. Most of them have challenges. How many yeshiva students you find from birth, born observant with great excitement in the Torah? I go to yeshiva to give lectures. I see the level of excitement. You're right. There are a small group of kids that are very, very excited to learn Torah. But I go to many yeshivot, the kids are not that excited about the Torah. They wear yarmulke and tzitzit because they're afraid of their father, and they learn Torah because it's kind of like a secular kid stuck in school, and when it comes to 17, that's it. No peot, no yarmulke, no tzitzit, and out to the streets. So don't think that anyone who was born in an observant family grows up to be a giant in the Torah. Many of them serve God in a very robotic way, no excitement, no love, and that's how it is. So what we're talking here about, a very small fraction of people in Judaism that actually know the Torah. Some of them teach, and they're online or in yeshivot or whatever, and some just learn for their own sake. But again, I don't want people getting upset at me because I know many will raise their hand and say, what are you talking about? I know the Torah. Okay, but the ones who raise their hand and say, I know the Torah, you are a minority. You are a fraction. So from 15, 20 million Jews that they say there are in the world right now, I told you many, many times, we're not 15 million Jews. I think we're at least a quarter of a billion Jews. There's much more Jews in the world, but most of them don't even know they're Jewish. That's the reality. That 80% of the real Jews in the world, they don't even know they're Jewish. But let's not focus on that right now. Let's go back to the fact that the unfortunate reality, and I'm just giving you what I'm seeing. You can contradict, you can argue as much as you want. The majority of the observant Jews are not so learned in the Torah. Now, I'm not saying it to chas v'shalom hurt any person. A, I'm saying it to inspire to start learning. B, I'm saying that because how do most people get their Jewish information? How? From that. They go on YouTube. That's the reality. Most people who learn Torah, they learn it from a video. YouTube or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm saying YouTube, any social media. And again, a fraction learn Torah from books, even though that fraction can be 50,000 people. But it's a fraction from the nation. And the majority, how do they get fed their information? From the internet. I'm talking about in our generation. Or they go to classes. Half, if not 80% of the rabbis on the internet make an X, delete, close the window, move on. It's not rabbis, it's not Torah. Okay? Now I know you're going to ask me the $1 million question. Who? How can I know? Well, you figure it out by yourself. But I'm already telling you that most of what you find on the internet, don't learn from there. because you have no way to validate what the speaker is saying. Now, if it's a very, very, very respectful, known rabbi, okay, and even in those ones, you can 50% move to the side. Known, famous doesn't mean anything. But half of the other guys online, and it's not about chas v'shalom mocking anybody, because I get constantly clips of videos and people asking me, do you know this guy? Is what he's saying true? Have you ever heard this? Most of the times that I went online to check out somebody else's video, and I'm not talking about a famous and a real rabbi. Most of the times that I went to listen, it was not correct. Now, when you listen to a video on YouTube and the rabbi with a beard from here to the floor, a yarmulke covers his ears, he's so religious. He looks like he is like from a lineage from here to I don't know what. Do you know exactly that what he says it's actually correct? How do you know that everything that I say is correct? How do you know that what? You have bitachon. That's very nice of you. But how do you know?
You teach from the book.
Nachon, I teach from the book. But it's true, but there are organizations in the world that they teach from the book and they still lie. Okay? There's all sorts of groups online and in the world that teach mainly Kabbalah. They will sit with the book. But it doesn't mean anything. But you're right, I teach from books. But why do you really trust me? Because you're listening to me for 20 years and not once have you found a mistake in what I said. Right? Thank you. 4 years ago when Corona started, I don't know, maybe people were bored and they sat at home all day long and had nothing to do. But my following became greater than 10 times. I'm not joking, 10 times. It was about, I think, it doesn't matter the numbers, but in amount, about 10 times I grew my following. And I thought, okay, people are bored, they're watching TV all day long. Or maybe I exposed everything that I said at the time, and that was pretty rare in the beginning. In the beginning, nobody spoke about anything. But then I realized why the following grew is because people kept telling me the same thing. Up until now, I thought you are crazy. When I was listening to your classes, I thought you're crazy. And after 4 or 5 years, everything that you said came true. Everything that you said was proven. So I left everybody else and started following you. And not that I'm trying to show off with something, that I'm the greatest, or I'm not. But I can tell you, whether you believe it or not, I don't lie. I speak emet. I'm afraid of Hashem. I'm not afraid of you, and I definitely not running for popularity. So when the emet is being spoken, the most simple person in the world feels its truth, and that you can't argue with that. That's it. Many speakers online, they want popularity, they want fame, they want money, they want to badmouth others, whatever it is. Because many people go online not for the fact that they want to teach. It's after another cause or agenda. Popularity, fame, money, whatever it is. Why am I saying all this? Again, because most people get their Torah information online. And you have no way to validate what the person that is speaking is true. End of story. When I say the Zohar says, do you run to the book and he's right? No, you don't. And how many videos online you will find as the Zohar says? Really? I saw now, somebody sent me like this, you know, what they do on Facebook. I think it's called a sticker, and you write something, and it's with the design. And somebody sent me that, and it says that the Zohar says something about the month of Shvat. And I was like, I never heard of something like that. Which Zohar is that? Is that the Zohar from Asa, or which Zohar are you reading? And when I sent the person, what's the source for this? I don't know, I saw it online. You saw it online? How do you know a Muslim didn't post it online and he wants you to do something? You're just following blindly. But the reality is that most people do. Now again, if it's a rabbi that is extremely known and a very respectful rabbi, okay, I'm not saying there isn't. But also don't forget that a lot of the rabbis in our generation are Erev Rav, and they want to trick you. And they will teach you 99% truth and 1% they will stick the needle with the venom. So you have to understand that you are a little bit in a bad situation. Why? Again, you watch a video online, the speaker talks, unless he reads from the book and you can read with them, then you might have a problem. You might have a problem validating the information. Now, when you have a problem validating the information, then you might be taught the Torah completely distorted. And I have seen in the last 20 years thousands of these people who arrive like a person who crossed the desert with the tongue out, 10, 15 years in the Torah. A, they don't know nothing. B, they were misled for 10, 15 years by some fake wannabe rabbi. All their morals and values of Judaism are wrong. Their information is wrong. They're practicing their Torah the wrong way. Why? Because they went after a charismatic speaker from somewhere and followed them for whatever reason and couldn't validate the information. That's the problem. When you learn from a book, you have two problems. One, that you might not understand what the book says, and that's most of the cases. And the other problem is no one will be there to explain to you. When I started becoming observant, I only read books. I didn't go to classes. I can't listen to a class. The rabbi has to be something out of this world so I can sit and listen to the class. So I read books, and I would summarize all my questions, and at the end of the day, if it was too much, go to the rabbi and start asking the questions. And it took me 3 years to choose a rabbi, because every rabbi that I chose ended up being a fraud. So it took me time to find the right one. Why am I saying all this? Because, you know, I just said before, V'yaminu b'Hashem u'v'Moshe avdo, they believed in God and in Moshe, his servant. Then obviously we need a servant. That's part of the system. Whether it's a Moshe Rabbeinu, chief rabbi, or coming soon, Melech HaMashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who gave us all the information. Why did Bnei Israel listen to Moshe? Because he proved over and over that he is the one. He speaks truth. Don't you think they questioned Moshe Rabbeinu when he came to Mitzrayim? Who are you? Are you from the Mossad? What are you, CIA? You coming to infiltrate and get information? What are you doing here? When he said a few words of code and a few actions, then they said, really, wait a minute, that's the one. From today till the day Mashiach will come, many false Mashiachs will come. Not from here backwards, many. I have folders and folders of false Mashiachs. But many will come, and many will believe in the false Mashiachs. Because they will come and do miracles or prove things or whatever. And get ready, because before the real Mashiach is going to come, a fake Mashiach is going to come, and people will believe. You know that up until today, people believe in all sorts of fake Mashiachs. There's one rabbi online who he says on himself that he's Mashiach. That's the level of I don't want to say. And people follow him. And I mean, and happens to be, I'll shut my mouth, but happens to be that he's related to Netanyahu. That's all I have to say. You look up which rabbi is related to Netanyahu that thinks it's his Mashiach. I'll tell you later, I'm not in the camera, I don't need to get a bullet in my head. But the thing is that people, and Hashem proved to the world that people are sheep and they follow any tuchus that's in front of them. So it's the same thing in the Torah. What am I saying in other words? Most people get the wrong information. Most people, if you tell them, I'm talking about observer now, you tell them bitachon, and they'll fail what I just told you here. Hoping that something will be good, that's not bitachon. That's your hope. And in many cases, a false hope. And then what happens? The imaginary hope that's built in your mind is translated as bitachon. And that is wrong. The right bitachon now of a mother, of a father, or a husband or wife of a hostage is in Ada, is not necessarily that they're coming back. That's hope. That's not bitachon. The bitachon has to be that either he will come or either not. And I have to accept the not. And I have to already prepare myself that maybe not. That's bitachon. Hope is not bitachon. And why we cannot connect them? Because we do not have prophecy to know what's going to happen. No one. And if somebody tells you anything that is in the category of prophecy, then that's your sign to walk away. We hope for good things to happen. But that's not bitachon. And the problem is that having hope is good. I talked to you last class how important the hope is, because the hope opens the path to the salvation. The bitachon opens the path to salvation. So you need it, but that's not bitachon. Bitachon is simple. There is no coincidence in the world. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is from the hand of God. That's the definition of bitachon. Now, of course, you believe that everything is from the hands of God. But in extreme situations, which I have mentioned, that bitachon flies out the window. The example that I gave you many, many times is with a person with being tested from Shamayim with $5, $50, $50,000. That's suddenly when the number goes up, the bitachon goes down. So you now can be full of bitachon. But when push comes to shove and a very serious situation is happening, you'll see that the bitachon is nothing. You have no bitachon. Now you have to understand that in bitachon, there are levels. My bitachon in Hashem is not your bitachon in Hashem. And it could be that my bitachon goes up and down depending on experiences in my life. If I experience a miracle after a miracle, after a miracle, after a miracle, my level of bitachon goes very, very high because I'm on a roll. Everything that I do is working. So of course I have great bitachon. We have to understand there are many levels of bitachon. To give you one example of different levels of bitachon, some people, their trust in God is intellectual. It's not coming from a level of the neshama, it's not spiritual, it's sechel. It's when things make common sense and comes from intellect. How does it work? The person will convince himself constantly that it will be okay, that everything will turn out okay. So it's all in the mind. Now, that's bitachon, but not a strong bitachon. Now, what happens to that type of person? That the intellect is the one that's building the bitachon, constantly having this mantra in your mind, everything will be okay, everything will be okay. But what happens to that type of person when something is in the action? Something happens right now. And I'm not going to give an example because you have to use something that relates to you. But something happens. Chas v'shalom, accident, money issues, threats, whatever. A situation happens. What will happen now to that type of person? When something severe happens to that type of person, then it unshakens the bitachon. When your foundation is strong, a small wind won't shake you. Sometimes something big happens, an event happens in your life, totally shakes your bitachon. You are totally disoriented. That would be called a time of danger. Okay? A time of danger, or danger can happen. Suddenly your bitachon is very shaken. You have to look for some example in your life where you can relate with what I'm saying now. Some people, to them now, is in Israel. They hear the alarm, that's it. They lose their direction. Oh, relax. It's one missile. It's this big. Don't worry. What are you running like a maniac? We're still not barraged with missiles. This is nothing, by the way, for the newcomers in Israel. This is not a war. This is I'm not chas v'shalom taking. It's a war. There's casualties. There's pain and suffering. But in the magnitude, come on, that's like a little game. So when there's a time of danger, and again, the time of danger is not necessarily a war. You know when it happens a lot? A person drives in his car and suddenly sees the red and blue lights. The heart goes down for 3-4 seconds, then the policeman goes out like all tough, and you drove fast or you did something illegal. Suddenly you're not that strong. And again, I don't want to delay on examples. You use your own example. But what I'm saying is, we're talking about a person that their bitachon, their trust in God, is fed intellectually. Now what's going to happen? Now, a time of danger, the whole bitachon is shaken. How much? Depends how much bitachon the person has to start with. Why? Because in that time, because of the pressure, or because of the commotion, or however you want to call it, of the situation, the person, I'll call it, forgets everything that he built in his mind. Because when you're in time of danger, a car accident, chas v'shalom, it's a matter of seconds. You don't have time to, chas v'shalom, I don't know, you did something wrong, you hope not to get caught, and suddenly you get that call, you see, oh my God, they're on to me. I mean, how many, there's limited amount of examples I can give you, but you have to understand that this might be you. That the bitachon is psychologically built in my mind, everything will be okay, everything will be fine, I'll get out of it, it's no problem. But that's not trusting God. That's you building in your mind some type of false reality. Now what happens is when the situation gets bad, you don't have the kelim to remember everything that you were building in your mind. So let's say you kind of forget that it's from Hashem, because the real bitachon, like I told you, the real bitachon, I'll tell you again, that I know that there's no coincidence in the world. Nothing happens by mistake. Every leaf that turns around in front of your face, there's a reason for that. True bitachon, that you know that every breath that you take was planned, governed, and ordained by the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So a lot of people, their bitachon is in their mind. Now what happens? A situation happens. You don't even remember the mantra that you had in your mind. Everything is for the good. Everything that Hashem does is for the best. Or whatever nonsense somebody fed you. Because you're under pressure right now. Terrorists are shooting. Whatever. A storm is coming to your direction. I told you, it's either Shat Sakana, when it's actually happening, or Sakana is coming. Sakana is coming, the danger is coming. You're in Miami, the hurricane is coming. Okay? They start banging the windows with plywood or whatever it is, because you don't know what's going to happen. When the person has a very low bitachon, then he will forget. She will forget the master of the universe at the time of pressure or extreme situation. Now what's going to happen is that individual loses his entire bitachon with one little effect. So what good is your bitachon? What's good is your intellectual wall that you were building? It's not good for nothing. Now, in order for you to get a perspective of what I'm saying, let me tell you a story and you'll understand where I'm going with it. Many, many years ago here in Tzfat, there was a couple, they couldn't get married. They couldn't get pregnant. And happened to be that the husband was a Talmid Chacham. Great knowledge in the Torah, how it was 500 years ago in Tzfat. They didn't have Netflix, there wasn't WhatsApp, they didn't have anything. They sat and learned Torah. So this man and his dear wife could not have a child. One time, after many, many years, finally they get a child, a boy. All the city is happy, everybody is excited. They wait 8 days, they do the Brit Milah. A day later, something goes wrong, the boy dies. Now here's an example of bitachon. You wait 10, 15, 20 years, I don't know, for a child. The child comes 8 days later. Give me 3, 4 years, enjoy it. 8 days, the child dies. Needless to say, that great Talmid Chacham fell down in his spirit. I don't care how much bitachon you have in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And again, this is the perfect example, because bitachon is, let me read it to you again, אמון שאין מקרה בעולם והכל מאיתו יתברך. That's what the Chazon Ish says. Okay? Trust and believe that no coincidence and everything is from the hand of God. Even that great scholar went down in his level. Makes sense, no? You and me will also be very upset. Now what happened is, since he was a great scholar, he got a visit in a dream. He had a prophetic dream where they said, your Torah in Shamayim is very valuable. We don't want you to suffer. We don't want you to be sad. So we have came from Shamayim to reveal to you something that you should understand, that the boy that you had that died is a Gilgul Neshama of Maran Yosef Karo, the Bet Yosef. And why? Because Yosef Karo was sick when he was a baby and he was not circumcised on the 8th day. And he came back from Shamayim just to do circumcision on the 8th day. And died. When the man heard that, not sad anymore. Why would he be sad? Not only that he understood now greatly that this is in the hand of God, he understood why. Do you understand why God does something? No. And you will never will. He received a message from above, or simply because of his Torah. This is probably a man that learns Torah 10, 12 hours a day. They told him from Shamayim, your Torah is very valuable to us in Shamayim. If you're going to be sad now, you're not going to learn in the same level. So we come to tell you, don't be sad. You just brought to the world the neshama, the soul of Maran Yosef Karo, the Bet Yosef, for him to do a tikkun, and you are the channel. Miyad nachal dato? Okay, I'm happy now. Now that I understand, I'm happy. You're not necessarily going to understand, but you have to understand that there is a reason for that. The bitachon is that there's no coincidence. You cannot say, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this baby for so long. Why did Hashem do it to me? Oh, it's probably malpractice of the doctors. And now you got to start suing the whole world. No. That's the real bitachon. The problem is that we do not know the reason why God does things. We do not know cheshbonot shamayim, and you will never know. And if somebody comes and tells you, ignore it. Not only that, we don't understand the reason. First, we don't know the reason why God does. We don't understand why it happened, and what would be the result that we get. In Hebrew, the word is mit'arerim, lehit'arer. In English, the word that I found is wavering, but that's not lehit'arer. Lehit'arer is that I lose my stability and get weakened. Now, I'm sure you saw sometime in your life a very strong individual, can be a politician or whatever, athlete, like strong, powerful, and then something happens and you see the person all weak. And so lehit'arer is when I lose my stability and strength. And that's what's going to happen. If I don't understand that it's from God, And if I don't understand why, then my system will start collapsing. And that's what happens to most people, by the way, with their yarmulke and the tzitzit and praying 3 times a day and eating kosher and observing Shabbat and everything, and it still happens. Because to observe Shabbat has nothing to do with emunah and bitachon. And to put tefillin on has nothing to do with you believing in God. I mean, you believe in God because you do the commandment, but when we're focused on emunah and bitachon, it has nothing to do how many rituals you do and how many mitzvot you fulfill. So what do I take from that? That the main part of bitachon, of my trust in God, is that I know that nothing happens by mistake or chance. And everything is predestined. That's it. You get to that level, then you understand. I mean, what more perfect example we need? For the last 3 months, most people, especially in Israel, they're watching all day long all the videos from what's going on in the war. So the first month, you're not? Good. Congratulations, you're the second one. In the beginning, the first month was all the videos like what happened. Then the second month was all the testimonials. And now the third month is just, they ran out of stories anymore. So it's just another missile fell and we're shooting and we killed a terrorist. Wow. So when we saw the videos of the testimonials and what happened, you cannot not understand one thing. They're all saying the same thing. The testimonial is all the same thing. That you hear either the person somehow got shot, lo alenu, or the person 50 bullets flew next to him and not one bullet hit. And then the ones who I saw a girl got shot 17 bullets. And she's alive. And this is from Kalashnikov. This is not like, these are big bullets. From close range. That's where you see clearly what the Kadosh Baruch Hu is saying. You live, you die. You live, you die, you die, you live. That's it. Yesterday somebody sent me a video of a soldier, Israeli soldier, long hair, he's in reserves of course, long hair, earrings everywhere, and he tells his story. And the message of the story was, he, with a group of people, ran away. They were running for like 6 hours, terrorists shooting at them, bombs falling everywhere, and then they hide in some like a shelter. And then they heard Arabs, so they ran out from the shelter because they knew they will be trapped. And luckily they ran on time and escaped. Anyways, he tells his whole story. And then he says that when they're in the shelter for 6 hours, he said Shema Yisrael without stopping. He said, all I did is said 6 words without stopping. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Echad. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Echad. Shema Yisrael, like that. And then after 6 hours that they ran out of that shelter under fire, in the angle of his eye, something is shining on the floor. He picks it up, he sees a ring. He thought maybe it's one of the people, so maybe I'll give it back to them. He looks at the ring and what does it say? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And he says, I now understand, I believe, God is everywhere, God saved me. I mean, I'm telling you the story very short. This is coming from a long story. But that's one of the thousands of stories that you see that in this attack 3 months ago, God's signature is on everything. If you still didn't realize that, something's wrong in the system, you're not on the right frequency. If you don't see something like that and realize 2 things. A, there wasn't any mistake there. B, that we have to understand, and that's what I keep saying, and people are very unhappy to hear me saying that. But the B is more important than the A. The B is that God did it. If you say not, then that's heresy. No question. I know it's not nice to hear it. But can you tell me if there's a force in the world that can overpower God, overwrite God, and do something behind his back without his agreement? If you say that, please leave the room. And if you don't say that, then both the A and the B is God did it. God allowed it to happen, He did it, and He also saved many people, and the ones who lo alenu were murdered, that was His will. I'm going to ask you now a very distorted but yet private question. You don't have to answer. What do you prefer? To be killed in a car accident or to be killed in a terror attack? I'll answer. You don't have to answer me. I want to kill in a terror attack. Well, at least if I die, let me die for Kiddush Hashem. Why get squashed in a car because some idiot drove 150 kilometers an hour and doesn't know how to control his car? Died for vain. At least let me die like a hero. At least let me do something with my death. That's my personality. You do whatever you want. And you see dozens of testimonials from the last 3 months of people who just decided the grenade came into the safety room, 20 people are in there, one person jumps on the grenade and saves everybody. Because the person says, we're all going to die. Let me at least die like a hero. I mean, a person doesn't think. It comes like that. But what I'm saying is that many of the times, then the thought changes in the situation. So going back to what we really need to understand is that the main part of bitachon is that nothing happens by mistake or by chance. And everything is already predestined. That's it. That's what I need to focus on. And like I told you before, when I strengthen my bitachon, that's what pulls the salvation. We talked about it last week. I'm not going to elaborate on that. Now we have a problem. Because in our generation, we don't have real leadership. If you're looking at the government, that's not leaders. Look at the municipality, no leaders. Look at the army, police, bituach leumi, mas achnasa, it doesn't matter where. We don't have leaders. The problem is that also in the world of the Torah we don't have leaders. Okay, we have a few great rabbis. We don't have real leaders. And the proof to that is, show me the one rabbi that all the nation will listen to. There was one like that. He died a year and a half ago, Rav Kanievsky. Everybody looked up to Rav Kanievsky. But he died, he passed. And there are great rabbis. Don't distort what I'm saying. But we had a great rabbi 7 years ago who passed away, and not everybody liked him. And he was a great rabbi, Rav Ovadia Yosef. Sephardi followed him. Ashkenazi didn't listen to him. And the Ashkenazi would mock his comments, calling him primitive. So we don't really, our leader is that everybody likes. Everybody would listen. Everybody goes to. What's the word? I don't know the word in English. Worry, maybe? In Hebrew, it's the choshesh. I'm choshesh to say the Lubavitch Rebbe. Because in general, most loved him. But many didn't love him. Hesitant, yeah. Because as much as he was one of the popular ones, but I do know many that don't like Lubavitch, don't like the Rebbe, don't like... So I'm hesitant to say, maybe the Baba Sali, the Hilula was 2 days ago. I don't think anyone will say anything bad about the Baba Sali, but we don't have Baba Salis anymore. Please show me a rabbi that you can say everybody likes. That's it. Now comes another side question, and then again, I don't want to elaborate on that. Moshe wasn't 100% liked, Moshe Rabbeinu. So it's not that the leader has to be liked by all. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't popular, by the way. He was popular by the ones who followed him. That's it. He wasn't liked because he gave too much rules and he was too strong and too much gvura. You know? Moshe was gvura, by the way. All the ones who are telling me, you're too much gvura. Okay, shop somewhere else. You know? So Moshe Rabbeinu also wasn't that liked. So it doesn't mean that our leader has to be liked by all. But I'm not talking about liking. I'm talking agreeing. I don't like many, but I agree with what they say. And if I don't agree, the disagreement is only l'shem shamayim, only when it comes to the Torah, not in anything else. But what I'm saying is right now we don't have real leaders. Okay, we have some great rabbis and they lead their community, but on a world scale, no leaders. In a government scale, no leaders. In the religious leadership, no leaders. We have great rabbis, great leaders of rabbis in communities, but as a committee of rabbis to the Jewish faith, we don't have one like that. Not talking a Sanhedrin right now. That, whew. But we don't even have a real Beit Din now in Israel. Rabbanut, the trefa. Don't even start talking to me about the Rabbanut. It has Jewish symbols, but that's it. So we don't have leadership in the world of the Torah, something as a Beit Din that can make a psak and everybody would listen. We don't have that. I'm not talking about the unity right now. So since we don't have leadership, now we also have another thing that we're lacking. We don't have a prophet in our generation. So no leadership, no prophet, and a lot of confusion. Now what do you do? What will you do? You become observant now, you do tshuva, you convert, it doesn't matter. Who do you follow? Who do you know is the right one? Of course Hashem is the right one and you follow Hashem, but I need guidance right now. I need a guide. I need a leader. Tell me what to do. Where do we go? Should we sit? Should we stand? Should we pray? What do we do? And we're not going to have a leader till Mashiach comes, so don't think somebody will pop up and start telling you, giving you orders. And when Mashiach is going to come, most of them won't even follow him and won't take his orders. So what is left? If I don't have leaders and I don't have a prophet and I don't have anyone to tell me what to do, then what is left? Then the only thing is left is to strengthen my emunah and bitachon. That's it. As it says clearly at the end of Tractate Sotah in the Talmud and other references, En lanu al mi lishen ela l'Avinu shebashamayim. We have nobody to lean on but our Father in heaven. That's it. So, to conclude, there is a very powerful book. We learned it many years ago here on Shabbat. We had a seder. We learned it. It's called Tanat V'Eliyahu. And in a part of Tanat V'Eliyahu, it's called Psikata Rabati, specifically chapter 36. It says that before Mashiach is going to come, I read you this midrash many times. Before Mashiach is going to come, all the nations will be fighting with each other, provoking each other, and it seems like all going to go to war. And then it says that the Persian king goes to take advice from the Arabian king, and they fight, and the Persian king stands up and destroys 2/3 of the world. And then it goes into more information, how the nations are fighting with each other. And Persian, it's talking about Iran, of course. I mean, Iran is an old Persia. But when it's talking about Melech Paras, it's talking about Iran. And you see now that Iran is steering all the issues. Now it says, after that, Yeh behala gdola, there's going to be a great panic and scare. And it says that for the nation of Israel will be very scary. And the people will say, where will I go? Where can I go? Ana elech, ana elech. Where is to go? And the conclusion will be that there's going to be nowhere to go. You can't run to the United States, it's going to be dangerous there. You can't run to Europe, it's dangerous there. You stay here, it's dangerous. It's dangerous everywhere. To a point there's going to be panic that nobody knows where to go or what to do. And I'm just going from my memory in this paragraph. And then it says that Melech HaMashiach, B'sha'ah she'Melech HaMashiach ba, he's going to stand on the roof of Bet HaMikdash and he's going to scream, Anavim, Anavim, Higia Zman Geulatchem. Right? I'm sure you know the sentence. They made a song even about it. a few songs, and Mashiach is going to scream, Anavim, Anavim, Higia Zman Gulatchem. The time of your redemption has arrived. But why is he saying Anavim? Anav is a humble person. He's calling us Anavim. I see many grapes, many Anavim. But I don't see many Anavim. Anav is a grape. That's when it's written with a bet. Anavim with a bet is grapes. Anav with an ayin, with a vav, is humble. And Anavim is the humbles. You're humble. I never understood that. Say, Bnei Israel, Higia Zman Gulatchem. The nation of Israel, the time of their redemption has come. Whatever. Why are you referring to us as Anavim? And I read you the Psikta Rabbati. I think in the lecture I did about the Corona, I read it to you because it describes basically what's going to happen at the end. But a big question is why the prophecy is that we are referred to as Anavim. Hashem says in the Psikta Rabbati, don't be afraid and have no fear because everything that I did for you. And I'm quoting now the Tanat V'Eliyahu. I don't remember the verse. Hashem says, Al tirau, al titra'u, kol ma she'asiti avurchem. I don't remember the text exactly. But then Hashem says, what are you afraid of? Because everything that I did was for you. Okay. But now comes the big question. Why is it called Anavim? I mean, why is the text calling the nation Anavim? Humble. Needless to say, no question, very simple to understand that it's referring to Midat Anava. It's to the attribute of Anava, which we're learning now. Biduk now we're learning. I can't even go wrong. In the next class, that's what we're learning in Sha'arei Kedusha. Midat Anava. I take from that the secret code for your bitachon, for your survival, for your emunah, for everything. One word. You're still waiting for me to say that word. Anava, that's it. That is it. Kadosh Baruch Hu wants people to be humble. And I said, if you remember many, many times, I'll quote myself. Rabbi Anava says that God is going to bring the world to its knees. How many times did I say that? Sometimes I said world, sometimes I said humanity. God is going to bring us to our knees, to beg for mercy. That's when we're going to be humble. When we're going to be humble, then the Geulah will come. Then the redemption will come. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us two options. Either you humble yourself, or I'll humble you. You choose whatever you want. I can tell you that I chose wrongly. The decision that I made 20 years ago was wrong. I thought I can humble myself. It didn't work and God humbled me. That cost me a lot to reach to that level. That cost millions of dollars, 2 years in jail, and many issues in my life. That Hashem says, oh, no problem, I'll humble you. Hashem made me this big. When you're this big, then you start looking up and then you understand what needs to be done. So when you are seeking to great depth of emunah and bitachon, last week I told you we're missing one spice. If you remember the class, if not, go and look at it, it's online. I told you last week the spice we're missing is hope. Most people don't have hope. Okay, now you added that. Now we have to add another spice into the dish, is to be humble. And if you're not humble, nothing is going to work. If I want to understand and to reach to a point that I know, I don't understand or believe, I know that this situation or any of the others, 100% God planned it. With everything. With the bad, with the humor, with the good, with the result. And to top on that, I will never know what was the result, what was the cause, what was the cause behind it, but I know it was perfect for me. And I cannot argue on that. That's it. To reach to that level, that's a very high level. I will say the other way. I hope that everybody will be redeemed in this Geula. I was hoping it also for the last 20 years. But for the last 20 years, I was saying, Rabbi Anava said, I'm quoting myself again, not everybody will make it. Don't live in the denial that everybody will be redeemed. I know many Lubavitch say, but the Rebbe said, everybody will be redeemed in the last redemption. The Lubavitch Rebbe was talking about Tchiyat HaMetim and the final redemption, not the coming of Mashiach now, that will take another 40 years before Tchiyat HaMetim and all the rest of the stuff. So if you want references, the Lubavitch Rebbe is talking about the Tchiyat HaMetim, that everybody will be included. For the coming redemption, not everybody will make it. And you know what's the proof to what I just told you? That in the last 30 years, many have died. Okay, right? That's it. Did they make it to the Geula? No. End the story. Want to continue the argument? That's it. Not everybody will make it to the redemption, and maybe us too. I'm not living in some denial that I'm for sure seeing Mashiach. That's my hope. That's my prayer. That's my desire. I want to see the redemption unfolding. There's no promise. I have no, what's the word? I have no, I don't have the word.
Guarantee.
Not guarantee. I don't have any false hope in my mind that I'm going to live through the redemption. Lehefech. Strong in my mind is that any second I can die. That's how I live. Any second I'm not afraid. I'm not like walking like that. But I know that every second I can die. The story's over in a second. Of course. The right way of living is living like that you know that any second the story is over, but not losing your stability and how do you say, mental health. Is the complete opposite. Is living every moment to the fullest. Is cherishing every moment to the fullest. Is not wasting my time on nonsense. And if chas v'shalom, I waste my time on watching some stupid video on the internet and I wasted a minute and 46 seconds, that's what causes me to be upset. I'm not afraid that I'm going to, oh my God, I'm going to die in a minute. I'm afraid that I didn't do enough. So it's a very healthy way of living that I know the story can end any second. Especially in the reality right now, any second some crazy Arab can run me over, I don't know what. Any second, it happens in seconds, by the way. You're not getting an email in the morning. By the way, 12 o'clock in the afternoon today, be careful from the guy with the black shirt. Kacha it happens. You know that in a lot, it's sad what I'm saying, in a lot of the videos of the murders in the 7th of October, I don't know if you notice, in most of the videos before the shooting, you hear, no. That's what you hear. The person saw the terrorist with a gun, instinct, no! That's it. You have a second to say no. I don't live in some la la land that I'm going to be living till 150 and I'll see the coming of Mashiach. So what's the reality? Not everybody's going to make it to the Geula. That's the fact. You can't argue with fact. You can argue with anything that you want. But I'm looking at fact right now. So not everybody's going to make it to the redemption. That's it. Who is going to make it to the redemption according to the Tanat V'Eliyahu? Whoever's humble. How many people can say on themselves, truly, I'm humble? So what, that's what's going to make it to the redemption? 2 people who say I'm humble? Okay, so now you got your message. That's it. Start working on your humility, on your anava. Humility is not that you're degrading yourself, it's you're accepting the reality. You cannot change the reality. So you humble yourself in front of God. Humbling myself in front of God is not necessarily me not dressed or being undressed in front of God. Shulchan Aruch says you can't get dressed, be naked in the room. God is looking at you. What, you walking naked next to God? Go get dressed in the bathroom. That's not tzanua. You can't be walking around naked in the house. That's not humbling in front of God. When you humble yourself in front of God, what is your picture in your mind? What is your picture in your mind? I'm humbling myself in front of God. I'll tell you, accepting God's will. That's anava. Anava, when I humble myself, God, you're right. Your decision is the right decision. Your opinion is the right opinion. Whatever you say is gold. That's anava. Not you prostrating on the floor or walking with 17 layers because you don't want God to see your skin. That's not anava. So we're learning a lot what anava is. But I'm telling you now, another key to the entire code of everything that you're learning is how much you humble yourself. That cannot be taught in 2 lessons. You have to really learn a lot of books. And you really have to practice it. And you have to break yourself. If you don't break yourself, God will break you. It cannot come other way. Yosef, before he became king, had to be in jail for 10 years, 11 years. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, to bring down the Zohar, had to be in a cave for 13 years. Moshe Rabbeinu had to be the leader. Moshe Rabbeinu was also in jail for 10 years, by the way. Moshe, from the age of 18, when he ran away from Mitzrayim, till the age of 80, when he came back, 62 years. Moshe was the king of the land of Cush. Moshe was in jail. Moshe did a lot of things. I think he came, and he didn't sit in yeshiva. Moshe was Moshe Rabbeinu. So, real anava is that I understand clearly my role in this world. And if you are my boss, that's your role and that's my role, and I'm beneath you right now. And I need to accept it. And not only accept it, respect my boss. Respect, here I'm going to say something that doesn't much make sense, but I'm referring to the Torah. We have to respect judges. We have to respect policemen. We have to respect the leaders. But I'm talking in the Torah, not in the world. Okay? I don't want you now hearing what Rabbi Anava says, I have to respect policemen. I am talking about, the other day I was in the police station, they have a huge sign, שופטים ושוטרים תיתן בכל שעריך. Half the police are Arabs. Half the policemen here are Arabs, Druze, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're still not Jewish. Then the other policemen, the rest, are so secular. שופטים ושוטרים תיתן בכל שעריך. אתם שוטרים. That's not the shotrim that the Torah is talking about. Nevertheless, true bitachon, which will later on lead to true happiness and being content, happy, relaxed. One of the major key here is anava, is that you humble yourself in front of other people, you humble yourself in front of God, you humble yourself in front of the universe. And when you practice true humility, because it's a catch-22, because in order to practice full humility, you need to have pride. You know what I mean? So it contradicts itself. Look at Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu היה איש ענב מכל, the most humble of all people. He reached to that title. But Moshe Rabbeinu also had the highest level of gavah, because he was the king, he was the prophet, he talked to God. He didn't apply it, it didn't come in a negative way. The explanation to that, to be more clear, the Torah was given on Har Sinai. Why on Har Sinai? You know the famous Midrash, all the mountains were fighting. The widest mountain said, give the Torah on me, I'm the widest. The tallest mountain said, give the Torah on me, I'm the tallest. All the mountains said, give the Torah on me. The only mountain that didn't say anything was Har Sinai. But one can ask a question here. Why does the Torah need to be given on a mountain? If you want to practice humility, shouldn't you give the Torah in a valley? Or at least on a flat terrain? You brought us to the desert. Why are you giving it on a mountain? The mountain represents the ego. Something that is big, something that is seen from far away. Why do you choose to give the Torah on the mountain? I think the Torah should be given in a valley, like a real deep valley. We're all in the valley. That makes more sense. You want to teach me humility. The Torah was given on a mountain to signify, the smallest of all, but to signify the geava that I am a son of God. I have to come with geava. I have to come with a lot of pride. I was chosen by God to do a mitzvah. It can only be done with geava. You see the army marching, they're all proud. Why? Because this is the type of proud that elevates you. I am worthy. I am good. I am benefit. I am contributing. Most people, they're being squashed by their educators and their parents. You are a nobody. You are a loser. You won't be able to do it. He's much better than you. Now you need to have that attitude. Of course I can make it. I'm the son of God. God gave me a commandment. Of course I can do it. Of course I can be successful. Or of course I can contribute and be something in the world. You need to. That's gava. That's healthy gava. So you can't have the anava without it. So the Torah was given on a mountain, the smallest of all mountains, to signify that everything has to be done in humility. But it was given on a mountain so I can stand all proud that I'm getting the Torah. So I have to be proud. You proud to be a Jew? Most people are afraid. No. I'm not Eisenstein. I'm whatever. People taking their yarmulkes off and, you're not proud to be a Jew. No, if it's dangerous, that's a whole different thing. But most people are embarrassed to say that they're Jewish. And you know why? Because so many other Jews messed it up for the rest of the Jews, so the non-Jews hate the Jews. It's one big tangle. But the point that I'm trying to say, God tells you, I don't want you walking like a shmata on the floor like that with dirty clothes. No, you're not allowed to do that. Your clothes have to be nice and clean. This is halakha. Why? I'm representing God. I have to walk in the street with a straight back. I'm proud, I'm strong. Nothing's going to break me. That's all geava. But it comes from true anava. It comes from true humility that I can be great and I don't... It's not that I'm showing off or not showing off. It's what it does to my personality. That's the true anava. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu. He was the king. He was the prophet that nobody will ever be greater than him. He speaks to Hashem face to face. He destroyed Paro, destroyed Mitzrayim, took the nation out of Egypt, managed the 10 plagues. Do you need more of an ego than that? Moshe Rabbeinu looks in the mirror, he's like, I'm the man. I am the man. I am Moshe Rabbeinu. I talk to God where nobody else goes. Can you imagine how the ego can go out of control? And nevertheless, he's the humblest person in the world. Because he understands that he was just hired for the job. He understands that his greatness is God, not him. So a great individual with great qualities. Let's not go too far, okay? Let me give you a live example. I look in the mirror. What do you think I say to myself when I look in the mirror? I know who I am. I know what I achieved. I know what I can achieve. I know what I went. I know everything. And a lot of it can give any average individual a lot of geva, a lot of ego. I know who I am, what's my level, and everything. I don't fool myself. I know exactly what. But I can also, privately, tap myself on the back and say, yeah, you're very good at this, this, and this. I know what I'm good at. God gave me very special talents. But it doesn't make me a putz. It doesn't make me arrogant because I know A, B, and C, or I'm good at A, B, and C. Because I give it to God. I don't do anything. So the real humility is that you understand God made you famous. God made you famous, not you. God made you rich. God made you rich. Be thankful. There's nothing wrong with being great, successful, powerful, smart, intelligent. There's nothing wrong with that. God doesn't tell you, I want you to walk in the street all humiliated. And if I gave you a talent, you're an unbelievable musician, be proud that you're an unbelievable musician. Teach it. Make people happy with your talent. Do something with the talent that I gave you. And mainly teach it to others. And that's where it ends. You can be the greatest pianist. God gave you the talent, it's a talent. Then the talent is to inspire other people and to teach and so forth. So the true humility, you need to have ge'ava, but it's a very, very fine line. So up until the age of 28, the fine line, I had both the ge'ava and I thought I had the anava. So when Hashem realized that I'm not able to humiliate myself, or the right way to say is to humble myself, so God does it for you. Half the situations that you go through that you accept as a punishment, or one might tell you it's a challenge, a nisayon, whatever. No, it's you not being humble. It's you not being humble, and Hashem says, no problem, I'll do it for you. And then He makes you this big. Why? Because some disaster happened in your life. You went into some business deal, you thought you're going to make their $1 million, the whole thing went to the toilet. You thought you're going to get some big job, something, you destroyed everything on your way, stepped all over everybody because you were going to that job, and in the end, the one that you hated the most got the job, you didn't. I'm giving you some thinking of examples. I mean, you think of your own example. In many of the cases, it's not a punishment. It's God teaching you a lesson. It says, oh, you thinking that you're humble? Let me show you what's real humility. And that's it. And then the challenges start flying to your direction. Like bullets. Now what do I do? Suddenly you're like, okay, I'm humble. So the redemption is very close. God wants you to get to the point very fast. So the challenges increases, and everything in front of us goes more and more and more. And then you have to go back to the quote of the Tanat Veliau. What did he say? Mima atem mityarim. What are you afraid of? And why is he saying that? Kol ma she'asiti, asiti b'shechem. It's all for you. You saw it as horrible things. That was the way for me to make you turn left, right. Like mortars that fall, you're running here. I saw a video of some guy who was running from the party. So he survived. And the guy told him, why do you think you survived? He didn't say because of God. He said, I ran in zigzags. That's what he says. I ran in zigzags, which is kind of right. I would add on what you just said, and I will say it just goes to show you how much God was on our side. He sent the terrorists, but they were clowns. They were taking drugs, they're brainwashed, they're psychopaths. It's not a human being. It's not a human being. This is a borderline of a demon or something. There's no neshama in that body. To kill in such of a way, I'm sorry to tell you, there's no soul in that body. Something else is in this body. A human being, and it's irrelevant Jew or non-Jew, a human being with a pure soul cannot do some stuff like that. You can kill, but not like that. I don't want to even tell you. I mean, you know enough. I don't want to add on what you don't know. That's not human. So let's conclude so we can move to the next class. We went through a lot of information. I would summarize that take the part that I told you that most people, their bitachon is intellectual. They build some type of a wall intellectually, which is wrong, because the second that the danger will come, it falls apart. It's not real bitachon. It's more false hope than real bitachon. Like I told you before, with the crossroad, a person, one side, what's option number one? You want him to get healthy. Option number two, he either gets healthy or he dies. And the question that I asked in bitachon, you all said, of course that he will get healthy. That's not bitachon, that's hope. There are situations that you have to understand the reality, what's going to happen, and how do you deal with the reality. Your hope is worthless at this point. So I have to understand that the battle that I have right now, me, you, and everybody else, is with myself in my own existence. How do I deal with all the dangerous and scary situations that are happening in the world? If you live your life like nothing happened, you don't have to see these classes. If you go to sleep and you fall asleep right away, no worries, you're good to, everything is fine, then good, you're in a good place. But if not, then all the questions have to start surfacing. And then you have to have good answers. The truth is that I fail to see many people that are now living very calm, very happy. Everything is going to be how it's going to be. And I have no control, and I'm just going to smile the whole time. And be busy with doing mitzvot. Today Mashiach didn't come. Be busy with doing mitzvot. What did you do today? How many hours were you on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, and another TikTok, schmickbock, pickbock? All that's together, 5 hours of watching junk. 5 hours that you wasted on nothing. That's what you should be upset over. That you didn't apply that time to learn Torah, do mitzvot, help other people, get closer to God, work on yourself, sleep good, eat healthy, work out. That's what I do. The Geulah is going to come today or in 3 years. I have control over it. I mean, I can help, but I don't have any control over it. And the ones who have their target on the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the true Eved Hashem, by default, cares to be humble. I didn't say humble. Cares to be humble, that's enough. If you care to be humble, you'll work towards it, and Hashem will help you. And if you stumble here and there, Hashem will kvetch you. He will throw something at you that will humble you very well. Just accept it. Don't accept it as a punishment. Accept it as a kiss from Hashem and guidance. Don't go there, go there. And again, I know my examples right now is with the 7th of October. I saw a testimonial of a guy. He's now speaking all over the world. Some people are capitalizing on it. They had a miracle. Go and advertise that. That's what Hashem did to you, a miracle. Why do you think Hashem did a miracle to you? One reason, for you to advertise that. So this guy said that he was like, everything that I would always do, I did the opposite. The guy said, I did opposite than anything that makes sense. The police sent everybody there, I ran there. And every time he was saved. And he said, my approach was, anything that makes sense to do, I'll do the opposite. And I'm telling you, he ran this way, everybody was killed there. He ran that way, it was like, and he says, it was mamash, literally, if everybody ran that direction, I ran the opposite direction. Everybody hid here, I hid over there. And he says, and I was saved. So again, the Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to tell you straight out. I told you on the 8th of October that this attack, this terror attack, was for us because the writing of Hashem is clearly everywhere. And Hashem clearly told us, I choose who goes when and how. And whoever needs to survive, 50 bullets will fly at him. You don't need 250. Ipol mitzidcha 1,000 will fall next to you. 10,000 on the other side. Nothing will come to you. David HaMelech, King David, Tilim Tzadik Aleph, 91. That's the true emunah. That's the true bitachon. That I will walk in a field, bombs are falling everywhere, no zigzags, no nothing. I just walk, and what Hashem wants to happen, it will happen. Now, I'm not telling you now to go to the border and start walking next to minefields and say, okay, whatever will happen, will happen. Because maybe what's supposed to happen will happen, and But the ultimate advice / homework is what the Tanit Veliyahu says. Anavim, igi zman gulatchem. You want the time of the redemption to come, start working on your anava. And with that will come also the bitachon, because when you're humble, you understand that Hashem is running the show. And that Hashem is pulling the strings, and that your problems are not done because of him, or her. It's the Kadosh Baruch Hu brought you into the situation. Don't lose your patience. Don't lose your focus. Understand that Hashem brought you to this situation. Use your talents and your gifts and whatever experience that you have to say to yourself, how am I getting out of this situation with a straight A? That's it. How am I making Hashem happy in this situation? You'll have to humble yourself because you can't answer. You can't, even though you're right, you can't argue. Even though you deserve, you can't argue. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares what you want and what you deserve. Okay? Bezrat Hashem, I hope that many of us will be able to strengthen ourselves and work on our anava and reach to a true anava. No, not talk. It's very easy to talk. Actions are very easy to do. I'm telling you in a very sad way I'm saying that. I have failed to find very, very little people that are true, humble, Avdei Hashem, servants of God, true humility, no jealousy, no ego, no one bad ounce of negativity in their life, accept the reality as it is, see people for who they are. Very few people are like that. It's very rare to find an individual that will accept any individual. I don't care how you look. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what you think about. You're first a human being. And you know what? You are better than me, for sure, in a few things. I know it sounds to you like the last paragraph that I said, irrelevant. That's my attitude with every individual. That's how I look at people. Because I had a very unhealthy ego when I was young, that I was good in everything. Because everything that I did, I was good at. Anything I touched, I was successful. So I had a very unhealthy ego. But that, of course, changed with many sleepless nights in dark cells. And Hashem taught me how to really be humble. And the true humility, I mean, there are many things, but how I look at an individual is the advice of David HaMelech. Mikol milamdai eskalti. David HaMelech says, I have learned from all my teachers and so much more so mi'achitofel. If David HaMelech can be humble and learn from every individual, so who am I? So my attitude when I look at other people, once my ego would say, I'm better than you, I'll challenge you to anything. That was my ego. My ego was so out of control that I would challenge you to anything. You put anything on the table, I'll challenge you. I'll fight you. Now the attitude is, must be at least a handful of things that you are way better than me. And that's it. And if you are way better than me, that's it. Who am I to, what's the word, patronize over you? When I became observant, my dear friend Itzik gave me a gift that there's no way to evaluate the magnitude of that gift. He bought me the Igeret HaRamban, nicely wrapped in a beautiful leather case. It's in my tefillin bag for 20 years. The Igeret HaRamban is the letter of the Nachmanides. Follow that, you'll go to Olam Haba. Okay? Follow that, echad al echad. And what does he say there? The lesson that I got moments after I decided to become observant. It says there, Hashpel atzmecha v'inasecha hamakom. Humble yourself for Hashem to raise you to the level you need to go. And then it says something very, very powerful. It says, if a person is richer than you, you have to respect him because God decided to give him the wealth and you have to respect him. If he's smarter than you have to respect him. If you are smarter than him or richer than him, you have to respect even more because God gave you the money or the wisdom and not him. Which means you're successful because God gave you the wisdom or the money or the connections or the ability. So I'm successful because God gave me the ability. And you're not successful because God didn't give it to you. So who's better? Who's better? Nobody. Here I'm better because God gave me. If I wouldn't get, I would be just like this guy. And maybe even worse. So what are you proud of? Halo Hashem morish v'ma'ashir. You have to read the letter, and the letter tells you read it once a week. Read it every day. It will make you a different person. But that hit me like a brick of walls, or however you say that. How does it say that? Hits me like a wall with bricks. Bricks of walls. Walls of bricks. Now I got you all confused. All Americans. It hit me like a brick wall. A wall of bricks. No, it hit me like a wall of bricks. No, it hit me like a brick wall. I don't know. But hit me like a ton of bricks. A ton of bricks. Bricks that weighed a ton. I mean, listen, there's all sorts of variation here. You choose. But it hit me like a wall of bricks. It hit me like a bricks not in a wall. Okay, halas. So the line that says, "Ve'im ashiru alecha lechabdo," and if he's rich, you have to honor him, not because he's something great, because God gave him the money. We are in the market of being present at the time of the redemption. We have a lot of tools. We have to follow the emet. We went through many, many details in this class. I didn't want it to be so long, but what's new? You're all lucky that I shorten my classes. If not, each class will be 3 hours. But there's a lot more to say. I'm just trying to summarize everything that I have to say. What? Of course it's recording.